Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, where we bring you a weekly dose of powerlifting news, tips, and training advice with a touch of 80s rock ballads. This podcast is presented by Team Roar Powerlifting, your source of the most comprehensive coaching and meet day preparation. Here are your hosts, Josh Rohr and Laura Sturm.
All right, welcome to episode 11. We are moving on up, roughly one episode a week.
Wow. That was brilliant, Josh.
Welcome to you, Laura Sturm, aka our team mom, who kind of keeps everybody from going off the rails.
Yeah, which is really funny when I go someplace and I would be with Latavia and she would say, "Hey, Mom," and we were at like a food counter and someone looked at me like, "There's something not quite right here." All right. And welcome, Josh Rohr, the man who can't say the word poop. And I don't understand why. It makes him uncomfortable. So anybody who sees Josh, just make sure you work that into the conversation.
That's not cool.
Sorry. There's a story there.
There's no story. I just don't like the word. It just makes me feel weird. I don't know.
So are you okay with like moist?
Yeah, I don't care about that.
Okay.
I mean, you can say like somebody took a big dump in their pants. That doesn't bother me, but the word bothers me.
You can't even say it. It's like the word that shall not be said. Voldemort.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, anyway, so that's thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So let's move on we'll start off with the track of the week today. This one, so I also realize before we get to this that I don't necessarily follow the rules. Like, for example, this podcast is supposed to be about power ballads, and we've been talking about all kinds of music, but that's fine. And then I'm looking at this next track, and it's supposed to be power ballads, but this next song, I don't know if it's technically a power ballad, but it's a really good song, and I like it, so I put it on there. So anyway, Mr. Big, To Be With You. That is the song, track number 11. Thoughts, Laura?
It's a great song. It's definitely a classic, and I think it's perfectly fine that it's not a ballad, technically. I love the song. I had something strange happen recently that has to do with the song, and I wasn't sure if I should share that, but, you know. Like,
I think yes.
If anybody thinks I'm weird,
when in doubt,
wow.
Share.
Yeah. So my stepmother died recently, and I went up to Massachusetts to go to her funeral. And the night before, I had written something to say at her service that had to be with the fact that she wasn't able to be with us. And I have gotten into the habit nowadays of meditating, especially in the morning, to kind of just recenter myself and kind of little mental health break, especially in the crazy world right now. And the morning of her funeral, I was meditating and thinking about how she wasn't able to be with us. And when my meditation stopped, I've never had my phone start playing a song until that morning. And it started playing that song. And when that happened, I just like totally lost it, started bawling, and then tried to figure out why my phone was playing that. And I had no apps that were open.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it really freaked me out. And then it finished that song and started playing a cello concerto. I love cello concertos, but I don't actually have any on my phone whatsoever. And I couldn't get my music to stop except to reboot my phone.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love that.
It was strange, but it kind of it really actually made me feel better that day after I kind of got out all of my bawling.
Yeah. Yeah, this song in general, like, it kind of pulls at my emotional heartstrings. I don't know why. Like, I don't necessarily have any like moment or anything tied to that, but it definitely does.
Now I have a random teenager making noise, so please excuse me. Sorry,
Cool.
That's the problem with
Teenagers.
Yeah, and teenagers. All right, so let's bust some powerlifting myths, Josh.
All right.
So, one that we have put forth today is more is better.
Got it. That's kind of a open-ended thing there. So I'm not sure exactly what that refers to in detail, but I guess in terms of training, a lot of people think that the more they work out, the more sets they do, the more reps they do, the more often they max out, the better they're going to be at powerlifting. And I think that is a big mistake, because your body can only recover from so much stress. And whether it's workout stress, whether it's work stress, whatever else is going on in your life, you can only recover from so much. So the idea is to kind of walk that line with training where you're doing enough to, I guess, cause change, but enough that you can still recover from is the big deal. Because once you get over that line of not being able to recover, then that's where people think they're hitting a plateau, or they're, getting into overtraining, is because they kind of step over that line. So if you have, all right, I'm going to go into a side rant with this. If you have a coach, doesn't matter who it is, follow the damn programming. Because if I was, I was having a side discussion with a coach friend of mine, and you can only effectively evaluate your coach's program if you're doing the program. So
True story.
Stop maxing out and not telling anybody when you're not supposed to. If you do run off the rails and do something like that, then at least let the coach know. Don't hide it, because what people don't know is we're tracking all of those things, relative intensity, volume, how often you hit these percentages, how you respond to those percentages. So if you're throwing curveballs in there all the time, then all of our data is completely off. So when we're trying to get you to peak at a meet, we're going off of what we know, which is what we think you are doing. But if you're not actually doing that, then we're basically kind of driving blindfolded. So that was a little side rant, but
I think it's a valid side rant, because when you're programming for someone and they're maxing out and not telling you, or you see it on Facebook, that was my favorite. When you're like, I'm pretty sure I didn't program that for you. That's funny. It definitely affects the program if you're maxing out. And if you're hiding the maxing out, that's just, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, I had one the other day, one of our lifters, Laura, and I kind of want to call him or her out, but I'm not going to. They know who they are. I saw it on Instagram, and my first thought was, crap, I had some sort of typo in the programming. So I started freaking out when I saw it. I'm like, dang it, what else did I mess up? And then I get into their programming and look at it, and I'm like, son of a gun, they're just going off the rails. So anyway, we did have a talk.
It's fun to max out sometimes, but that's what meets are for, really.
Yeah, and there's a time and purpose, I guess, to do that outside of a meet even. But when we're in a hypertrophy block of training and just got done with the meet, and somebody's maxing out after we've already said that we need to work on some technique issues, it just kind of throws a curveball and everything. And I'm not, if you're listening, person that I'm referring to, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Wow. You gave me flashbacks to being a teenager. Yike. Well, and more is better. I can also say sometimes less can actually be more, because as an aging athlete, when I switched from training 4 times a week to 3 times a week, I stopped feeling as beat up, and I was a little bit more consistent with making sure I got my accessory work done. And I think I was able also to focus a little bit more on technique. So more is not always more or better. True. So myth busted.
Busted.
Stamp. Yes.
Stamp. Still don't know how to do the graphics, so we're just
we'll have to work on that, Josh.
And it's the podcast, so unless you're watching on YouTube, there's no graphics anyway, I guess.
Imagine it in your mind.
In your mind.
That's right.
Another myth. One. Yeah, we got another one. powerlifters are fat and out of shape.
Yeah. Well, I would have to say some powerlifters are fat. But really, by what definition is out of shape? Some people that are in a higher body weight category may have more body fat, but they are also strong as fuck. So, what is your definition of, out of shape? And, I do think our society thinks that Dr. Oz is our model of healthy, which is kind of crazy. And,
Wait, are you saying he's not?
I don't really think that a man that I could lift up with one arm is, I'm sorry, that's just not my definition of healthy, especially. Yeah, anyway.
So is it bad that I don't really even know who that is?
So Dr. Oz is a guy that's in mainstream media that is always talking about health. And I'm sure he has a lot of great things to say, but when people think that he is the model of health, I would just tend to disagree. I don't think he could lift up his body weight. Is that healthy?
No.
I don't think so.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. I also think our society thinks that triathletes are sometimes the model of the most in shape. And I would really disagree with that because, again, they lift up their body weight. When someone is, this big around, I'm holding up my pinky if you're listening, I don't think that's a healthy thing. I think, there's definitely a body composition that's healthy. Maybe some powerlifters have more body fat, but I also think there's an opposite extreme like triathletes, and they are skinny fat. And that's a real thing.
Yeah. And I think, maybe just going with perception. I know last week we kind of talked about some of the perceptions of things, but, a lot of times the super heavyweight powerlifters are the ones that you kind of see more maybe in like highlights or YouTube videos or something like that because they're lifting the most weight. So people maybe associate that with what a power lifter looks like, forgetting the fact that that's one weight class. All of the other weight classes have limitations to how heavy you can be. So that sometimes maybe plays a role in, I guess, what people think is the normal body for a power lifter.
Right. I mean, you can just go down the ranks and just look, and there are so many powerlifters that are jacked and could be models. I mean, just that amazing in good shape with
You're talking about
abs,
me?
bump. Yeah, exactly. And I think some people they don't know what else to do in life other than run. So they think that people that can't run are not athletes. And, I think there are some people that love running and, great. But I think some people run just because they don't know any better. They're like, oh, this is what I do for fitness. And I think there's other things out there that are fun and healthy and good for you. I think some powerlifters should have a level of conditioning that suits their sport and allows them to still be healthy so that they don't, drop dead young.
Yeah. As an example, if you do a set of heavy single, if you do one heavy single squat and you have to take a 20-minute break to catch your breath, you might need a little bit of conditioning work.
Yes, Josh, you do.
Also me. I was going to say also me. Dang it.
Yeah, and I think this was a tricky one for me sometimes because I was a CrossFitter. I was a CrossFit affiliate owner, so to always be like, oh, I don't run, it was kind of, maybe hypocritical because that's part of what CrossFit is. But
yeah, but in your defense, like you at the time weren't training to do CrossFit, you were training to be a power lifter. So when we go back to that, less is more deal, we don't need to be doing more of other things that stress your body. We need to be more specific on what you're doing powerlifting wise. So, in that case, I mean, and some people, might say that, yeah, you're a CrossFit coach, you need to be doing CrossFit. Well, you're coaching CrossFit, but you're competing in powerlifting. Like, so,
right.
that's two different things. Yeah.
And if somebody had a problem with it, well,
yeah. Right.
Give no fucks. There you go.
I'm learning that about you.
How long does that take, Josh? I don't even understand.
Oh, that was sarcasm.
Okay. I'm learning I don't understand your sense of humor.
Yeah, it's not great. I have to explain my sense of humor a lot. So
Oh,
yeah,
poor Josh.
that's awkward.
It is. All right. So the next question, we had a question from a listener. And I love this question because I have a little story that goes with this. So the question is, what do you look for in a coaching client? My caveat would be, I don't think everyone's your client. Like as a business owner, I don't think everyone's your client. Like there would be some people that'd be like, I want to coach everyone. But I think every business should figure out who their clients are and pursue those people. So Josh, who are your ideal coaching clients?
In general, for me, somebody that's going to work hard. And everybody always just assumes that like I only want to work with the elite level lifters or whatever. And to be honest with you, I only want to work with the elite level lifters if they're going to work hard and put effort in, because I get much more out of working with somebody that's completely new that really buys in and works hard and makes progress than somebody that's, doing really well, but they're just naturally gifted. So they don't really have to try. Um, to me, that feels like a waste. And if they would just apply those elite lifters that are, good naturally, if they would apply themselves, they could be some of the best ever to do it. And, I see that fairly often, and it's kind of disappointing actually. So yeah, I guess the main thing I look for is somebody that's willing to work hard and be smart. Somebody that's going to buy into, the programming and follow the programming and not go rogue like we just talked about earlier. And somebody that's a team player. So like when we go to meets, like, I want somebody that's going to, encourage their teammates. If they're not currently competing and they're just there, I'd like them to be there to help out and, cheer on their fellow teammates. So that's kind of my thing that I look for. And that's kind of a vague, non-specific thing, but that's the most important thing to me.
Well, I mean, I think characteristics of people's personalities and their work ethic is important. Because I don't think you want someone who's got a huge ego and doesn't want to be part of the team. Like they're just there for themselves completely. I don't think that's who you want, especially, because teamwork is a team, and we have to function as a team, because even as a coach at a meet, you can't do everything. You can try, but usually there's more than one lifter going at a time, multiple platforms, there's things going on, and you need help.
Yeah, it takes a village. And, I think we as a collective team have done a good job of kind of fostering that environment, I think. So it's really cool for me to sit back and kind of watch it happen. Cause I kind of look at it like, and like at a lot of the meets that I run, like when we compete as a team and we have 20, 30 lifters competing, like I'm not there usually actually coaching because I'm running the event. But, when I do get a break and I get to look over and I kind of see just everybody working together and everybody being taken care of, it's really a cool thing to watch. So I look forward to being more involved in that aspect of it this upcoming year as I'm running less events next year. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, and I think some of our best moments as a team have been when we've rented a house together and gone to a meet and, just been there over days, immersed with each other and finding out each other's little quirks and, having the little hijinks of the, raccoon breaking into the screen porch and,
Yeah, those are just things like
stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, I remember every time I'm on those trips, like it's always bittersweet for me because I really enjoy that aspect, but then it seems like it's over very quick. And, I don't know. I just have I feel like I'm becoming a more emotional person, good or bad. I don't know, but it's starting to I almost feel like sentimental about stuff like that. Looking back, like hanging out with everybody and anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And I do, fun story with Latavia going to a meet with us a couple years ago when Ben Green got up really early and snuck out into her car and just waited for her to come out to her car so he could scare the shit out of her. That was an amazing moment.
Yeah, there's a few people on our team that have a death wish if they're doing that.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
Oh, there have been some really good pranks. That's been awesome.
Yeah, I like pranks, but I'm not sure I'm willing to risk my life.
Yeah,
to do one.
don't mess with Latavia.
Yeah.
Saying.
It's true.
Tay-Tay.
Tay-Tay.
Shout out to Tay-Tay.
Yep. So I think that's about all we were going to cover today. Do you have any interesting things to talk about, Laura Sturm?
Interesting things. So do we have a couple minutes?
We have as much time as you want.
All right. So there's a meet coming up in November in the state of Georgia. And I don't know how that's going to go. Like I'm kind of leery about going to meets right now. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I am as well. Georgia's not doing great at dealing with the COVID stuff, I guess. So I'm a little leery to go to meets, but at the same time, like I'm really, really proud of how USA Powerlifting is doing everything with requiring masks and every lifter has to hand sanitize before each attempt. Just stuff like that, just to help keep everybody safe. And I think that's a big step to keeping everybody healthy and getting back to normal. So
Right.
Needless to say, I will be there. I'm going to the event. But yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about it.
Is that the first meet since this has really happened?
Yeah. Well, first meet in Georgia. Yeah.
First meet in Georgia. That's what I meant.
Yep. So.
All right. First meet in Georgia.
Yep. And for those of you, I guess, that are interested what meet that is the USA Powerlifting Viking Strength Sports Veterans Day Open. It's in Savannah, Georgia, November 7th and 8th, I believe.
Awesome.
So be there.
Or watch through Zoom?
Or yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's going to be live streamed or not. I know there was talk of it being live streamed. So I think that's definitely something that is being worked on. But as the guy that is not the meet director, I can't say for sure. And it feels great.
Doesn't that feel great to not be the meet director?
Yes.
Not be the person whose problem it is.
Yep.
Oh, yes, I'm with you there. Sorry.
But I think it's going to be a good meet. Nate is down there in Savannah. He's the one running it, and he's working working really hard on it. So I think it'll be a good meet.
Awesome. Well, good. I think that's a good place to wrap up.
Cool. All right. I guess don't forget to follow us on Instagram, PL Ballads Podcast. And if you guys do have any questions or topics, do shoot us a direct message and we will cover them on one of our next episodes. Until next time, bye now.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends.